Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike. It looks just a little bit different in the background. This is my girlfriend's 2016 Cadillac ATS. It is the 2-liter turbo. It is an all-wheel drive model. And today we're going to be installing a ZZP cold air intake. It should be pretty straightforward. This is going to be the perfect video to just kind of see what tools I use, things that you need to know, things that are going to be reused from the factory airbox to the new one. But it should be a pretty quick install. I'm going to do a little bit of before and after as far as the sounds go. I'm sure it's supposed to increase horsepower just a little bit, but without a tune I'm sure you won't really notice much other than some more induction noise when you're driving. But with that said, I'm going to show you guys the parts, show you what I do, show you what I use, and let's jump right in. So getting started, the stuff that we do have from ZZP here, they've got what looks like it's probably a heat shield. It's going to be essentially in the same spot as the factory airboxes, and if you own one of these Cadillacs, it's about the same shape as the factory airbox. I'm guessing that the way that this is shaped, it's going to fit right to the plastic that goes around everything. Looks like it's a nice black wrinkled coat. It actually looks like pretty good quality, and as far as blocking heat, we'll see how it does, but hopefully it fits nicely. We've also got the air intake. As far as this piece goes, it looks like we're going to reuse the same hose from the factory that should clip on here. Of course, it comes with all of this as far as the couplers go and everything, and then mass airflow sensor from your stock airbox, so just bolt right into this. It's not supplied, and then of course it does come with the air filter. Should be pretty straightforward. It looks like it's just a couple of volts, and should probably a little bit loud. I've got it running, but I'm going to give you a little bit of sound before we put the airbox in, and then a little bit of sound after, just so you can tell the difference, and we'll see what it sounds like. So looking at it, looks pretty straightforward. We're gonna end up pulling off the breather hose here for the PCV. We're gonna pull off the mass airflow sensor. Looks like the best way is to just unbolt the airbox from the turbo, and it should pop right out. So getting started with this PCV breather hose, you're gonna push this down, it looks like. You're gonna pull back on this little black clip on it. It should slide right out. And there's really not much more that you're gonna need to do as far as moving that out of the way. For the wire for the mass airflow sensor, there's nothing on the front. There is a little red safety clip on the back. It looks like you're just gonna pull up on that. And after that, push on it. You should be able to slide this right off. And there we go. We've got a flathead screwdriver in the center of it, so we're gonna go ahead and use that to take it off, just because I've got one handy. Go ahead and take that out. Kind of figured there wouldn't be too much to this, but it looks like it should pull off after that. Don't see anything else holding the airbox in. It should pop up. Yep. And after that, should be able to remove the whole piece here. Reimagined. And that looks like it's it. We'll, of course, use this mass airflow sensor again. Then you'll reuse, you can see them, the grommets. So for this, you've got a couple different grommets. They look like this, if you can see it. Pop that one back in because that came off the airbox. Otherwise, there's 3 of them total. Looks like the ZZP cover should go ahead and clip right. All right, so you got your mass airflow sensor out. You wanna go ahead and grab the intake tube here. And you're gonna wanna grab the heat shield there as well. So what I'm thinking here is the heat shield's gonna go on first. Mass airflow sensor is gonna go in. The air filter will go in about the same time. And then it should go ahead and set in there. So this should sit like this when you're all done. This is gonna sit in there just like this. You're gonna push this over and flip that upside down just so you can go ahead and put the mass airflow sensor in easily. And mass airflow sensor should only go in one way. So check this way. It looks like that's the right direction. And again, it'll only screw in one way based on the shape of everything. This looks like it's right. And then if you can see, when we're all done, the wire that goes into the mass airflow sensor should also clip into this little spot here. Make sure everything looks clean and looks as factory as possible. And got this just about screwed in there tight. Make sure the mass airflow sensor is tight. Last thing you want is any air getting through there. Alright, so that part's done. You want to grab your air filter. And as far as the air filter goes, it really doesn't matter what direction it's in because you're never going to see it once this is put in. Make sure it's just easy to screw on and make tight. Go ahead and tighten that part down. Alright, air filter is nice and tight. Again, with this, we had flipped it before. You want to go ahead and flip it back. First, we're going to go ahead and angle this down. And that down just a little bit here. Alright, so that part looks good. Let's try to get this onto the turbo before we get too far. Coupler is on.
Music licensing.
This heat shield should just sit down inside of the couple of grommets that were in here. Those are in nicely. Those are all clipped down. That part's good. So there's not a ton from here. Mass airflow sensor will get reconnected. Gonna reconnect this. We're gonna screw that back down. Let's start with that part of it just to make sure everything is tight. And you'll want to make sure that these couplers are tight. But you can do that. Go ahead and clip your breather back on here. We're gonna fish this through the air box. And this is just a pigtail from the mass airflow, but we're gonna feed that through. And we're gonna leave it pulled up just a little bit, I'm thinking, so we can put that back on. Alright, it's all clipped on there. It's gonna go back into the grommet. Sits in there nice. I wanna go ahead and clip that back in there so that's tight. And that should be it. Looking at it, this actually does fit in there pretty nicely. It should be all clipped in there. This is good, that's good, everything looks tight. It actually fits in there pretty nicely. It looks fairly factory. Let's go ahead and move that out just a little bit so you guys can take a look at the whole thing. All right, let's go ahead and fire this up, see what it sounds like from the front end. So my biggest thing with this, I always like to check to see if there's a check engine light, which there's not in there. I'm gonna let it warm up for just a second, give it a couple of revs just to see the difference in sound, which based on what we pulled out, should be a pretty significant difference. Alright, so intake is all done. We're gonna go take it for a little drive and see what it sounds like.
Music licensing reimagined.
There's a little bit more noise when you're revving it, of course, but I would like to see what it really sounds like when you've got it out on the road, because that's where you should hear the most difference. The funniest thing, there's actually a blow-off valve of some sort. That's pretty much all I can hear.
Artlist.io.
I've always thought this car was actually kind of impressive. It makes about 272 horsepower. It gets significantly better gas mileage than my Audi. And whether or not it makes any more power, I have no idea, but it sounds a little bit better. It sounds a little bit more like a sports car.
Music licensing.
And it's amazing, it actually makes 18 pounds of boost. It's got a tiny turbo. Oh, we actually get up to 20. I think she'll appreciate the blow-off valve there. That's a little bit more fun than anything else. But it's a nice car, and I'm sure she'll be super excited for a little bit different sound when she's driving and everything else. And up to 19 PSI boost there. It's actually a pretty cool little car. She seems to like it. I have big plans for it. She seems to like the plans I have for it. She's had it for about a year now, so we'll see what ends up getting done. But I like the car.
Music
From what we've talked about, There's a handful of things still in the works. We'll see what we end up doing or we end up not doing. But all in all, I think she'll be pretty excited. Oh yeah, it's a little bit better now. I've got a couple more goodies coming for the Audi. They should be here tomorrow, and we'll make a video about that very soon. But with that said, if you guys have any question about anything that we did, leave something in the comments down below. If you liked the video, if you want to see some more content, hit like, hit that subscribe button and a little notification bell on there for any time that we upload anything new. And we'll see you in the next one.
Music licensing reimagined.